Alright, so today I'm going to be looking at how to set up relative mouse. This is a question I get asked a lot. Right now I have the game set up in something approximating the default control scheme for the mouse settings. It's not perfect, but it should give you a pretty good idea. Flying and flight assist on right now, as you can see. And you can see I can sort of fly pretty well. Like, this is pretty intuitive, especially if you're just starting out in the game. Holding on a fixed target could be a lot better. Alright, let's put that away. It's hanging out in the blue. You can see I don't really have a whole lot of trouble controlling my direction of movement, so long as it's always facing forward. But now let's try turning flight assist off, and all of a sudden now I'm a wobbly mess. Trying to make counter movements just kind of seems to exacerbate the problem. Alright, let's turn flight assist back on, go full stop here. Now let's look at switching it over to relative mouse. What I want to do, turn this mouse x-axis into yaw. Relative mouse x and y axis on. So what that is going to do is now, instead of using my A and D keys by default for yaw left and right, I'm going to be using my mouse. And what that does is allow you to use your fixed weapons basically the same way you would use in any FPS game. Sensitivity, I like it pretty low. Most of the people I know like it fairly low, and they'll mess with their mouse DPI. Relative rate, you want this cranked up pretty high. Dead zone all the way down to 0, curve all the way down to 0. Usually I turn my widget off, but I figured it would be easier for this demonstration. So what this relative rate is going to do, and having relative mouse on both axes, whenever I go up or down, what's going to happen is I'm going to move my mouse up and the game is going to drag it back down to the center. And the same thing with left and right. So up, imagine, and then it's going to just drag it right back down. So with that, with the mouse handling yaw now, I can safely get rid of these bindings here. But that also means I'm going to have to set a button for roll left and right. This, again, is largely personal preference. A lot of people like A and D. Personally, I like Q and D. And then I'll have thrust left and right set to A and D. And I think that's it. Let's go back out and try to fly. So as you can see, there's no more holding down anything in terms of mouse movement. As soon as I move my hand up, this game is dragging that cursor straight back into the center. The same thing with left and right. It makes flying flight assist on extremely uncomfortable. But the second that I turn flight assist off, all of a sudden I don't have to be holding down any inputs in order to make movements. If I want to say pitch up, what I would do is move my hand up, stop, and then when I want to stop my actual ship, I'll just move my hand right back to my resting mouse position. So let's try that with down, and then there. Left, right, and that's it. Let's find a target here. Now, with mouse on yaw, I can basically just stick on this target however I want. Especially with hit scan weapons, you'll notice it's gonna improve your rail and laser aim drastically. go out to Supercruise. This is going to be the part that gets a lot of people. So, with relative mouse turned on, you're going to run into that same issue. Whenever you want to move up, for instance, you're not going to be able to move all that well, or left and right, any of it. So this game is just going to drag your mouse right back to the center. So what I have done I have set up Shift A and D to handle yaw left and right on the keyboard, and same thing with pitch up and down for W and S. What that's going to let me do is make my large course corrections with my keyboard, and then my tiny adjustments, I can still do that perfectly fine with my mouse. So hold pitch. Yaw is the same way. I can just hold down those buttons for as long as I need to, and then my small adjustments can just use my mouse. Roll, completely unaffected by relative mouse, since it's on the keys anyway. And that's it. You'll notice that a lot of people, especially coming over from HOTUS, that they will actually keep the HOTUS around, and they'll use that to fly in Flight Assist on and fly with in Supercruise. And the second that they get into combat, they'll turn Flight Assist off, and they're on keyboard and mouse now. This is a much more elegant solution, I'd say, than Shift WASD. But this is a solution since I'm not investing $200 into a HOTUS. And again, this is not going to make you an insane FA off pilot the second that you do it. It's still going to take a whole lot of practice. You're going to probably have to get used to a few of these changes. And as always, feel free to yell at me in the comments section if you have any questions.